I liked practicing, and I did like Invisalign and implants and molar endo, and was like not
Ew.
afraid to kind of get my hands dirty and
Yeah.
enjoyed it all. But again, when I saw that we were, when I saw like got my first taste of software
There was a lot of
success,
traction happening quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, and it also is it's a good feeling. I mean, just to see, kind of what you're doing resonating and landing and helping people, and how scalable that is. I mean, that's kind of what the draw was for sure.
I think
Cool.
that's
So
what turned
when
us
it-
on. Let me jump in and
Please.
and help here with the explanation. I saw it honestly, Derek, when I was exposed to your product. I saw it as the ability as a growing empire, or growing enterprise, I should say. I saw the ability, and again, you alluded to COVID of and we were having this like hiring struggle, right? Like getting actual people to come to work and do things. And so I saw it as an ability to scale without having to scale my HR, so to speak, right? I could actually implement this product and actually not hire the next insurance verification person that I was going to. And I know you guys don't go on record saying like, hey, you can not hire as many people, but I'm going to go on record saying that it truly decreased the overwhelmingness that was going on in our ecosystem. Well, everybody, welcome to another episode, Bulletproof. Craig, what's the name of the title?
Bulletproof.
Yeah, okay.
Foods would start.
Derek, Craig used to get the name of the podcast wrong back in like 2017. I never let him.
I can only imagine.
Well, now it's everywhere, so it's easy for me. He did that just for me, so all the monikers could so wrong.
Derek, if you don't know much about Craig and I, my job is to just razz him in perpetuity, and his job is to get upset about me.
Get offended. So, Derek, right before we hit record, see how it says Peter, Craig, and Derek on this title, on the little name badges. Peter started the video, and it said Peter Founder. And just me nothing, just a humble flex way of just putting me in my place. So I told him next time, put coattails and rider of coattails for me.
Oh, that's what I heard when I first joined.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what you joined into.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
Derek, good to have you here.
Derek. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you.
Let me give you a quick
Derek,
intro, then you can kind of fill in. So you are the founder of Airpay, correct? You are a dentist, though, right?
I am. Well, okay. I'm the co-founder of Airpay.
Okay.
So there's another, and I give credit where credit's due.
That's so nice. Are you looking for a partner?
Well, does that mean you started the project together, though? Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, look at how, you know where he's going with this, Derek. He's going with I started the Bulletproof Practice podcast, and then you joined at episode 3. So from then into perpetuity, I will always be.
No, you were a guest.
But go ahead. We're not here to talk about Peters and my baggage. We're here to talk about Airpay. And
so, Derek, you were a founder. You're a founder and a dentist, and so you started out. So basically, I'll just give everyone a synopsis. Is Airpay is automated insurance verification. The kind of it bolts on. My team loves it. Craig's teams love it.
They do.
And so we thought it'd be cool to bring you on because, we want to help and support. And I think, you're doing good things as a dentist who saw an issue with our industry. You did something about it and took action and created a product to solve something, right? You created a solution to solve a problem that you saw was an issue. Any color you want to add to that before we kind of jump into the nuts and bolts?
Yeah. Well, first of all, appreciate it, and appreciate your practices. But I'm a dentist. I practiced for about 10 years in Brooklyn. And every day I saw my front desk team struggling with lots of things, but insurance verification was always a real struggle. And I always assumed that that fancy offices in Manhattan had a better way of doing it than what we were doing, which was just brute force, phone calls, website visits, fax backs. But it turns out that assumption was wrong, and everyone does it in the same way. Small practices all the way up to the largest DSOs there isn't a better way of doing it. And so really the North Star with Airpay is a software-based product that can help teams do this faster with less waste. The traditional solution has always been overseas call centers or onshore call centers. And there's a lot of, that's not very scalable. And there's a lot of challenges with those
Yeah, that's
companies.
super clunky. I actually can attest to the fact that I tried to go that route a long time ago, and it's actually a company. I was like, I want to say Zimbabwe or something, but
Yeah, we did the
it's
same
English
one. It will
speaking.
remain nameless,
We
but
did?
yeah, we had the same one.
Yeah, and it's hard. Yeah, I think you're right. When you try to outsource it to more inexpensive human capital, if you will, or human, more labor market. What am I trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say? So basically, when you're outsourcing it to a more inexpensive labor market, there's a lot of bumps and friction along with that, that come along with that.
I want to go back into a personal story just for 1 second, if you don't mind, Derek. So
Sure.
was your family in dentistry? How did you become a dentist?
Yeah, my father is a dentist.
Did he practice in Brooklyn?
Yep, practice in Brooklyn. He's an endodontist. And I went to NYU dental school.
What
did
year
my
did you
residency, went up 2012.
Okay. And then how many years did you practice before incubating this idea?
About 8 years.
Okay.
In private practice, 1 year in residency, 8 years in practice.
Cool. And then what was the genesis of it? Obviously you saw the friction and you thought Manhattan, they don't have the problems that they do in Brooklyn. I understand that, but there are different problems in Brooklyn and Manhattan. I do believe that to be so. But what was did you have a software propensity, or talk to me about like how you knew to make such a big jump like that?
Yeah. So my co-founder is a big part of the story. He was there from episode 1 all the way to
another dig. I got that, Derek.
Yeah.
I got that.
I like what
guys,
you
I'm
did.
going to bounce. I'm going to let you take over.
I like what you did there, dude.
So
I know. You see what he did?
My partner, Dan, he's a software guy, software engineer. He was the CTO of a big data company called 1010 Data in New York City. His wife's a dentist. She's a practice owner in Williamsburg and Brooklyn. She's got a super nice high-end practice. But she worked for DSOs and kind of like, he had a front row seat to her experience. And his last company got acquired and he was kind of looking for his next opportunity. And I went to him and I said, dental. There's a lot of opportunity in dental and a lot of just antiquated ways of doing things in dental. And that's really how we got started together. We worked on a few things, but Airpay was a hit from day one. Just again, because it's just such a huge pain point in practices. And if you think about it, there's so much that has gotten better in dental offices and a lot of things that have gotten easier over the past 10 years, but not this. I mean, if anything, this gets harder, right?
You mean the automation? There's been a lot of things that have helped from an automation standpoint that made dentistry better, right? Or are you just talking overall sweeping?
Everything, digital scanners, getting paid electronically. I mean, there's lots of things in the front office, in the operatories have gotten better. And the other thing that I'd say is just COVID, I think really accelerated our business just in that there's such a staffing crisis and problem and shortage. And so, this feels harder in practices where, if it just takes such a huge effort to kind of get this done every day. And then you go home and
it's a lift. Like no one comes to work and says, "Man, I cannot wait to get on the phone with insurance companies all day today." Right?
Yeah.
And so
it's like pitting the lowest resources against each other. So like the insurance companies are smart. So like let's get people in like the Philippines that work for like $1 a week. And then our answer would be like, okay, well, we'll get people in Zimbabwe that work for $1 a month. And then we'll have the 2 lowest resource. It almost reminds me, this is super, you might have to edit this out, but you ever see like the prank calls when they take 2 Chinese restaurants and they put the phones next to each other.
I have seen that.
It's like that's like what it feels like to me.
They put the phones together and they start
Yeah, like
communicating.
Chinese food, may I help you? Chinese food, yeah, you call me, you call me.
And
Like,
yelling at one another.
So
yes.
there has to just be a better way. And I'm just curious, before we get into that better way, I'm just curious about the mechanics of how this all happened. So you're a dentist, you're working, you're making money, you're on the upswing of your career, you're at year 5, 6, 7, you're starting to make money, I presume. So the software idea comes along. Is the software idea so good that you're like, I have to leave dentistry and I love it? Or are you freaking hating dentistry?
Or are you side hustling? Does it become a side hustle?
I just want to know how the jumping off point was.
Yeah. We might need to go to the couch for this so I could lay down.
Okay, no problem. Just tell me about your mother.
Because it's, my relationship with my mother. So I was practicing and things were stable and you know, I was destined. I got golf clubs. I was like ready for
you're a real dentist
for that existence.
Your prescription pad handy. Is that too soon? Is that too?
You got the dental starter pack, right?
Bloody breathing nitrous. How to get divorced in 4 easy steps. Benzodiazepine prescription. This is terrible. We can't air this now.
Yes, we can. Who cares? Who cares?
The dentist starter pack. Oh, God, it's terrible.
I had all of the above, and things were stable. And honestly, I saw the reaction to what we were doing, and really just kind of saw a very big opportunity where obviously being in practice every day. I mean, I practiced 6 days a week and, for the whole time I was practicing for 8 years, and really was working my ass off. But, there's a much bigger impact you can have with software than you can in a dental office. I mean,
But did you like dentistry? I'm just curious. Like, did you like it? Was it this was so compelling, or were you getting burnt out? As well?
No, it definitely. I didn't leave practice until I saw that what I was doing was working. So it wasn't like, oh, let me just like find something else that I could do so I could escape this. It was a lot more calculated than that, and I liked practicing, and I did like Invisalign and implants and molar endo, and was like not afraid to kind of get my hands dirty and enjoyed it all. But again, when I saw that we were when I saw got my first tast of software,
there was a lot of traction happening quickly. Yeah.
Well, and it also it's a good feeling. I mean, just to see kind of what you're doing resonating and landing and helping people, and how scalable that is. I mean, that's kind of what the draw was. For sure.
I think that's what turned us on. Let me jump in and help here with the explanation. I saw it, honestly, Derek, when I was exposed to your product, I saw it as the ability as a growing empire, or growing enterprise, I should say. I saw the ability, again, you alluded to COVID, and we were having this like hiring struggle, right? Like getting actual people to come to work and do things. And so I saw it as an ability to scale without having to scale my HR, so to speak, right? I could actually implement this product and actually not hire the next insurance verification person that I was going to. And I know you guys don't go on record saying like, hey, you can not hire as many people, but I'm going to go on record saying that it truly decreased the overwhelmingness that was going on in our ecosystem. So Craig,
yeah, I mean, we
go ahead.
I'll just say that from now having been in market for a while, we work with we're probably about 50-50 single practices and DSOs now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it just from the DSO's perspective, I mean, they've got the most to gain. If they're struggling with insurance verification, it's exponentially a bigger problem across their organization.
The scale
and the scale, is just massive. So and you can't do that with an outsourced call center. It's just more phones and more bodies. And so again, to be able to do it with software is pretty.
So walk us through. So, because I always think when someone gets introduced to something, they think of 3 questions, right? Subconsciously, like, what is it? How does it benefit me? And then how much does it cost? I think that applies for dentistry, new dental procedure. I think it's anything, right? A car,
Sure.
right? People are looking for the understanding of what this is doing or solving. And then how's it going to benefit them? And then ultimately, I think we talk about like, you know, the price that the bulletproof price that you're gonna give. Just kidding, Derek. But yeah, when you talk about,
I missed the joke. What was the joke there?
There was no joke. I was just saying. I said at the end we can talk about the
I know.
bulletproof price that
Yeah,
you're
I
going to
know.
give.
I appreciate
no
that
joke.
you got that. I appreciate you got that.
Yeah. So give like this super sexy explanation of like, what is it? I know you've kind of told, and we get it in insurance verification. Yeah. So it's sexier than that, meaning it pops up and it's already done for you and it's real clean. Like, really give this feel there. Give it in a sexy insurance verification way.
Yeah. So as sexy as dental insurance verification can be.
Yeah.
So Airpay is a software-based solution for you to automate your insurance verification. So we integrate with Dentrix, Eaglesoft, Open Dental, Dentrix Enterprise, Denticon, and there's a few more coming down the hatch. And you can essentially set your verifications.
You just named like 2 practice management softwares I've never heard of, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never heard of
Denticon.
You got it.
Is that like Comic-Con? But go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you. So you integrate. You have like an API, a plugin to all those, right?
Yep. So we have a plugin. That's funny. We have a plugin to all of them, and you can set your verifications to run according to a schedule. So you could say, I want my verifications to run 3 days before every appointment, or 7 days before, or I want my Medicaid appointments to run the same day and my commercial plans to run 4 days. So you can kind of set it however it works for your practice.
You can prioritize them.
When your team, you can set different schedules according to different circumstances, whether that's payers or you know, any other inputs.
How about new patient? Just out of curiosity, can you make new patient go to different priority and stuff like that as well, or no?
Not at the moment, but that's interesting.
That's an interesting idea, because there's a lot of disgruntled people when they show up and they're not verified and they don't have a lot of experience with your practice. So it's a more charged, it could be a more charged experience.
Yeah, well, they'll all be verified. If the insurance is collected in advance, they'll all be picked up in that schedule. So if you have it set to run 4 days in advance, the new patients are getting verified just like everybody else. Yep.
So it's predicated on what your inbound team gets from your getting there.
So the insurance has to be collected. If you just book the appointment and don't collect that, then those won't be verified. But we need pretty limited information: subscriber ID, payer, date of birth, you know, kind of the table stakes information. And now when your team comes in the morning, they turn on their computer, all of these verifications have happened already. They're all these patients are pre-verified, and they don't need to sit down and kind of start from the beginning.
Yep.
And so we're getting the verification status of every appointment, and then you know, the breakdown of their benefits, and we present the information in a way that's extremely actionable for teams. So everything is organized in exactly the same way for every payer. So rather than kind of going from website to website, you're just really everything is very streamlined, so you can really just work through the schedule very quickly. So how does this help the practices? Of course, number one is time savings. You know, we hear that every 6 patients takes an hour, so 10 minutes a patient to do insurance verification. Now, when I tell that to an office manager, a lot of them will be, you know, in shock that I could be so you know, insensitive, and I'm, you know, because it could take them 1 hour to get one patient's information if Delta Dental keeps you on hold for 45 minutes or whatever. So
why are you disrupting this, Derek? Why are you disrupting this? How can you be so insensitive?
Yeah.
Well, it's also
so they're
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just well, actually, I was going to say it's also like a game, because the dental insurance market, if you think about it, we are a proxy. By we, I mean the participating providers of the dental insurance at our local level. If dental insurance had to stand on its own, the reviews would be so bad that no one would actually ever use dental insurance ever again. If Delta Dental had its own Google web page, you know, Google My Business page, it would get trashed. The problem and the beauty of dental insurance for the dental insurance industry is that we are the customer service proxy to them. So when they go to Dr. Giddon's office and they're not verified and they have to come out of network or their insurance lapse or whatever, they don't write Delta Dental a bad review. They're like, I went to Dr. Giddon, he ripped me off and blah, blah, blah. So it's really unfortunate for us dentists because we get the brunt of it. And the verification process is step one in that dissatisfaction. Because if you're not, that's the majority of the negative reviews I see like on mass for dentistry are insurance related. I went there and blah, 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 blah. Well, you didn't show us your new card and you showed up and you told us you had new insurance 3 days after you left.
Yep. Yeah, that's very well said. And an interesting way of putting it. I mean, it's true. There's nowhere to review MetLife.
So,
Right.
Derek,
So who gets the
and
review?
so-
Dr. Jones does.
Yeah.
you
For
weren't the
MetLife's
first.
shitty practices.
Let me jump in. I don't know if we have a delay, but you weren't the first one in the market, meaning like you didn't invent this process of digital insurance verification. There's other players in the space, and there was other players in the space. You're obviously doing it better. But why are you doing it better? There's one that I believe that runs with like Tube or something like that. The company. And it's clunky.
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
I'm not either.
But
I am.
Pete likes to poke the cease and desist bear sometimes.
Yeah.
Give him a tail on the cease and desist bear. He loves it.
Well, here I'll rattle up some more cease and desist.
No, don't if you don't mind.
No,
just tell us why you're better. No, don't. Just tell us why you're better than the other ones.
So all of the major practice management systems, who will remain nameless, but you know who they all are. They all have insurance verification baked into them. There's some button that does, the eligibility button in all these tools. Nobody uses them. We do, dozens of demos every week for practices. They're all on the major practice management systems. And we always say, well, why don't you use that tool that you already have and that you're technically already paying for? And really what it comes down to is a lack of information. There's not enough information for them to truly be able to rely on the product. And so what we've done that's novel, and the reason that we're doing this better than anyone else out on the market is we've got more information than anybody else, and we continue to pack more data into Airpay every single day and every single week. And so we've got more payers, more payer connectivity. If again, what you have in your practice management system is connected to some set of payers, they're missing all the other payers. We've got kind of the sum total of all the payers in the United States that have electronic data available in
so
Airpay.
The EOBs are a lot more detailed than what you provide, right? Like the explanation of benefits is a lot bigger, better, more robust.
So we've got more payers, and then within each of those payers, we have more robust data than what we find elsewhere. So we'll have the most robust data of anything that's available, as long as it's available. So again, Airpay is software. It's designed to be used by the folks on your team that are doing this already to save time and stress. It's not 100%. There's payers that we don't have. There's details that we don't have, but our batting average is higher than anything else on the market. We're able to, our mission, our goal is to alleviate 70, 80, 90% of the work, of the manual work that these teams are doing now. And that's
Derek, if the company isn't very good, I'm just going to tell you this, Craig's team and my team will crush it. And they will be like, this is terrible. This is a terrible product. And they came back. They love you, right? So
yeah, they did.
Right. Because they're a hard judge of good products, because we obviously look at a lot of products and stuff like that. So they're a hard judge of character is not the right word, but you get
we have Peter and I combined. We have our offices commingling in a lot of different ways. And the Airpay conversation came out from Erica talking to Meeks about it. Like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing for this? And that's how so it was an internal referral. What we had been using in the past was, I have this thing in my office where I tell people to go find themselves raises. So I tell people, look at any third-party software or company that we're using for anything that we do. If you can do it better and actually save the company money, I'm willing to pay you as long as you can do it better and save the company money. So we had a company that was working in India, actually, And it was just kind of like the two Chinese restaurants talking to each other. So they VPN into our system, and overnight they
insult Indians, Craig. You already insulted
yeah,
Asians.
that wasn't really insulting. It was just like,
I'm kidding. I'm
it's
kidding.
factual. Two Chinese restaurants. We should do that later. But anyway, so it was a VPN
at the end of the
India.
call. That's a
Yeah, we'll call two Chinese restaurants and put them through. But so one of my people was like, hey, we're spending so much money. I can't remember the actual amount. I don't want to go off of reference, but it was more than $1,000 a month, by the way. Well over that. And she's like, I can do it, and I'll just do it after hours, and we'll spend half. You'll give me half of it, a quarter of it, and you'll keep the other quarter, and we'll save half. And it was just exhausting, and it didn't last very long, because when you're using manual labor to do that, human capital, it's just the worst possible use of time, and it just never works. So when we found it, it was like almost too good to be true. And then I just want to talk about costs as well, because I couldn't understand how. I know BP, we've got a special result, a special thing with you. We've got an exclusive, risk-free for 14 days. And what else did we get for BP? I remember Peter and you talking about like some special pricing that I zoned out on.
It's all listed. We made like just a landing page. It's all listed on, just go to bpairpay.com. And typically we do that, Derek, for people just so they can get, so they don't have to call the company and be like, hey, can I get that bulletproof thing and deal? So we just do a landing page. So
we got 14 days risk free, but then the pricing is what? Like, isn't it like $250 a month, or
it's a no-brainer?
Yeah, $249. It starts at $249 a month. There's two tiers, $249 a month. And $399 a month, depending.
Yeah, but I was paying like well over $1,000. I mean, I don't want to say the company I was working with, but like, I mean,
yeah, we were paying $1,500 for that.
$1,500. Yeah, I remember my costs.
And it was not solving anything.
It was not solving anything.
So we're working now with quite a few DSOs that use these call centers, and again, they're overseas, so they're a lower cost than what they would charge domestically. But now they're switching over to Airpay, and they're saving, their costs are a fraction of what they were than with those call centers. Because again, like, even if it's overseas, it's still human beings making phone calls. And again, to scale that, it's just more phones and more humans to man those phones.
Let me ask you something,
agents.
Derek. Do you think that it behooves the insurance company for people like you to exist as well?
That's where I was going next too. Like the war on who can last the longest, right?
Well, I'm just saying. I think from if I were to examine it, I would want. I mean, like, what do they have? You have 1,800 payers. How many payers do you have? 1,200 payers. So eventually, once you have the system, you just want two computers talking. I mean, I'm sure the insurance company doesn't want to hire their Malaysian.
They want to keep friction, Craig, is my point. That was my point.
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Well, it behooves them in their business model.
So this is interesting. So I'm a dentist, and my partner is not a dentist. So I whenever we would talk about this, I always thought that they were evil. And I agree with Dr. Boulden, and my partner Dan. He's smart, so he just thinks that they're incompetent. And what we found out is that it's more it's a mixture, but they're certainly
so they're evil and incompetent.
Evil and incompetent.
Well,
what a shit show.
Dumb and angry.
We've spoken to quite a few at this point, and I believe I'll really look them in the eyes and try to get a sense of it. They want their patients to have a better understanding of their benefits, and they want it to be easier for the offices. And for one top 10 payer, they get 25,000 phone calls a day from dentists, and 19,000 of the 25,000 are about eligibility. And they're like scratching their heads why the numbers are so high. But they think that their website is better than it is. Like they'll say they're scratching their heads. Why are they getting 19,000 calls? And we'll tell them, well, you don't have this information on your website, and your website is difficult to use, and whatever. And
do you think that's a feature, not a bug, though? That's where I'm going. That's a feature, not a bug. I think, like Craig, I think that's where Craig is going too.
Well, it's also like it's a monopoly. So like you go
Right.
on your local power company's website, it sucks. Oh wait, don't use us then. Live in the dark.
Cease and desist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um,
Florida Power and Light.
yeah.
Come on. No, but it's true. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's a monopoly. People are not readily, they don't have, the consumer does not have the access to choose the dental insurance at that level of the consumer. It's done at the benefits administrator, and there's packages and there's blah, blah, blah. So it's not really a free market per se. Like if you're not happy
Yeah.
with Taco Bell, you just drive to Chipotle. If Taco Bell and Chipotle did what the insurance practices did, one of them would go out of business.
Yeah.
So they're being
Yeah.
artificially propped up by their bad practices, not falling on their actual business as it falls on the local dentist. And then their access or their lack of user interface, it goes away as well.
Let me touch on
there's
some.
certainly room. There's certainly room in the market for a better product and a better experience.
For sure.
But just to bring it back to Airpay quickly, I mean, obviously the biggest benefit or the most immediate benefit is for the office team time and stress and cost savings.
100%.
But the kind of downstream benefit of that also is patients that have more clarity when they come into the office about what the hell they owe and why, which
Right.
is a mystery to them.
And one more downstream, I would say, Derek, is that once the team is empowered to know what the patient, what the benefits exist, it's like you don't have to play this guessing game like, oh, we'll find out and do a pre-authorization and then the patient leaves and they're not in that emotional state of saying like, yes, I want the treatment. Now they've gone home and now they're on to the vacation or something else. So it's knowledge is power in this scenario, and it really helps the team, whether that's the hygienist enrolling the next treatment or the dentist enrolling the next treatment or the coordinator enrolling the next treatment or finding out there's an ortho benefit when the patient didn't even know, and being like, hey, you should fix this. It's easy. We have a solution for you and you have the benefit. Like that diffuses so much of patient enrollment, Mike. And when you can empower it, it's just a game changer, in my opinion.
Yeah. The conversion rate of the practice goes
Totally.
up.
Oh, for sure.
So we're talking about it from a place of like, oh, it's $250 and it helps, maybe helps the burden of the team. But I think the big halo effect of this is the downstream I just spoke of. Like, right, something you can't really measure, but like there's a lot of upside there.
Yep, for sure. And then going back to also what Craig said as well is now, again, when the patient doesn't understand their insurance, there's only one place for them to leave that bad feedback.
Yeah.
And that's on your Yelp page.
That's on your Google My Business page.
Yeah. These guys are deceptive. They gave me a pre-estimate of $1,700. Then it was $1,750 I owed. Deceptive. I'm calling the Better Business Bureau. Well, shit, it's not my fault.
For sure.
Let me ask you a question about functionality. I'm sorry I don't understand this as much as I should. Sure. But is there a way in your software to actually highlight or batch people into a bulk set, it just alerts you when people have adult orthodontic benefit, like kind of flag that and send it to you?
Like filter it out, essentially, Craig?
Filter it out so that you can have like exported.
Yes, there is actually. Yeah.
Let me tell you how valuable that would be. Because
so you can actually do that for ortho or night guards or anything.
Right, but imagine. So like I don't understand why, but the insurance company feels like the benefit of straight teeth is usually for people that are under the age of 18. When as a guy like me, I'm faculty for different clear aligner companies, and I know that crowded teeth lead to premature tooth wear, and it's not just for cosmetics. But imagine how valuable it is if you could send or export a whole file of people that have adult orthodontic coverage. Let's say you set the barrier at like $1,000, and then just letting people know with a well orchestrated, email marketing campaign. Not only does this, what the benefits are, and then kind of correlate that rather to people that have been recommended clear aligners, but then put that together in one of your marketing campaigns to say, not only have you been recommended, our system indicates that you have at least $1,000 of benefit. So you have an insurance company that's going to subsidize it. So imagine that.
You can slice and dice the information really.
That's great.
There's no way for us to do that with what we were
campaign,
doing.
essentially, right?
So we had no software.
or an
when you don't use
email.
when you
Yeah,
don't use software, Peter, you don't
text
have
offer.
that. You don't have that. Yes, you'll know that Peter Boulden has $2,000 worth of insurance coverage, but there's no way you'd have to manually go through that. So holy shit, total different dynamic.
Yeah.
So you're saying,
But
Craig,
Derek, with the equity
customize.
position that you're going to offer me on the board, that would I'm very cheap. You can just buy me dinner when I come to New York.
That I'll do, no problem.
You're saying, Craig, customizing an audience and then rolling out
software.
special internal offers, right, for your
Right.
patient.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
amazing.
So
That's a great idea.
you can't send the communications out right now. But
No,
can
you don't need
export
to.
it.
We just
No.
need
We don't even need that. We have the tools for that, right?
Yeah, we all have the tools
that.
for
You
that.
have that. I know.
But that comes
exists 3 times over.
pre-done with everything. If you've got, like, the average dental office has 4 different tools to get reviews already cooked into the other things that they have. You're just, you know, or 4 different ways to do an email campaign. But for you, being that your software, the real value proposition, obviously saving time, money, blah, blah, blah. We get all
finding
that.
it out. Yeah.
But to decode it, like having dental intel, for example, you can go through, if you have open dental, and build a report, but dental intel batches it for you so you can see who's overdue and you know where to go digging for gold. So you can have this digging for gold campaign to just say, if you have 1,000 active patients and 300 of them have adult ortho coverage, holy shit, that's like a massive thing. And I mean, orthodontics is something that people want to do anyway. And the fact that your insurance company is willing to kick in $1,000 or more, holy shit, that's like, to me, that's crazy.
I knew we'd find a way to make this sexy, this pod sexy. There we go. We
No,
come up with marketing, business ideas. You know, I was like, man, how are you going to make insurance verification juicy?
Well,
and we
in
did
and
it.
of itself, you can make it sexy in 2 ways. Like, can you save or can you, like, step on the gas?
Love it.
Okay. I thought this. I've had a different perception of this podcast all the time. I thought this was like the sexiest thing ever. From the second I got
well,
on
your background makes it sexy.
Yeah.
The real plants makes it fire.
I like how you touch that. Though. It seems like you do that all the time.
There's only one way to do it.
Yeah. Well, you know what works for you. Well, you're in New York City though, aren't you?
Yep.
So that's probably the only natural living thing anywhere, like in a 3 square mile radius that you have there.
Yeah, it's like green and then the gray.
Right, the concrete.
The gray concrete.
So all kidding aside, can you just kind of go through what we got for Bulletproof? Because I know when we talked, Peter was pushing you, and I tuned out because Peter was in his get our audience something.
Yeah,
good
so you're putting me on the spot on the podcast, but yeah, right now we have the 14-day free trial.
Perfect.
Hey, Craig, I just told you it's on that landing page.
Okay, got it. Okay, got it. So I want to hear. I see a picture of Peter and I on the Airpay page here.
Well, yeah, because we like it.
Trusted
faces.
You made Peter, by the way, I'm looking at this picture. I guarantee you photoshopped this and made me less tall than you.
No, you have a micro torso.
I know, but like I'm not. It's the picture that I'm looking at on the Airpay, bpairpay.com. I'm only like an inch taller than you. I think I'm taller.
Are we sitting down? Because sitting down works exactly right. Because Craig, Craig has this little torso, these long legs.
So
we did sit down next to each other.
We did an online course.
And him sitting down.
Yeah, I think your torso is freakishly large. I may have less torso than I should, but you have too much torso. You have macro torso. You're like a pterodont. You're like all root. You're like all crown and no root. Isn't that what a pterodont is?
My torso to
you look like a pterodont
ratio.
Do I have that right, guys? Pterodont.
I don't know. We digress.
Yeah,
unfortunately, Derek, this is what happened.
Yeah, pterodont. They're all like mid-root. You have very short little stumpy legs.
Shots fired.
What do you mean shots fired? We started this podcast with shots fired.
All right, Derek. I think we achieved the goal. We made insurance verification sexy. We gave some marketing stuff. We're given a deal. I think with that, we wrap. I appreciate you spending the time, bud. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Derek, are you coming to Vegas to the summit?
I appreciate you guys. I will definitely be in Vegas for the summit.
No way. Okay.
And it sounds like you guys will be fun to be in Vegas with.
So August 11th and 12th.
Wait till you get some cocktails in us. Then the shots really get fired. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I can only imagine
for the podcast. So no, I'm kidding. But August 11th and 12th at the Wynn Hotel. Early bird tickets are now sold out. So Derek, I don't know. Did you buy your ticket?
I didn't, but I know a guy.
we'll figure out a way to sneak you in. I'm kidding.
But yeah, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you helping me make it sexy, and look forward to hearing from the Bulletproof crew.
The crew, the team,
We
the world.
appreciate you, Derek.
Right.
Thanks
Squad.
for building something awesome that helps all of us. My team's
That's
super
true.
fired up. Pete's team's fired up. That means our audience is going to be fired up. So we appreciate you making something that's a pain in the ass a lot more efficient and affordable, so we can take our hard-earned dollars and put it to work versus put it to some bullshit.
Yep, it's my pleasure to leave playing golf and all that to just
Somebody else
busting my ass over here.
Keep busting your ass, man. You're doing a good job for us. Thank you.
All right, guys.
So
We'll see you
anyway,
later.
Thanks.